You have tuned in to my Handyman Diaries. Stories from the field about home repair and fixing up stuff for people and all that. And in this video, you're going to see projects like this, like straight up conventional projects. You know, I put an egress window cover in place and just out of the box, you know, just add water, simple stuff. And then you're going to see projects like this one where I repaired a busted door jamb, and man, I had to use like all of my innovation and kind of ability to patch things together to make it work. I do not have a jig for my router to set hinges in their mortises, but you know, I got it done with my chisels and the door fit pretty well. Looks good. Now this was a back stair build project, and the full video is on YouTube, so I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. You can find it on my channel. But it did take a lot of creative kind of making it up as I went along. You know, I was thinking about those steps. They were a little unconventional. You know, they were like these kind of rules that you're supposed to build by. You know, you're supposed to use stringers and all that. And I just built them differently. You know, like working with that existing concrete slab and the space and the materials and all that. For me, as you know, someone who builds stuff, that's what it's all about. You know, you've got to sometimes be creative, do something different, do something in a way that you've never done before, and really you'll probably never do again. In that case, it worked out just perfect. Those guys wanted a simple set of stairs built back there. Those are going to be temporary. They've got plans for a big deck back there, but in the meantime, you know, back door's got to be accessible, dogs got to go in and out and all that, so it works just fine. All right, off to the next job. Now this project brought me back on the other side of that innovation curve. This was straight up, you know, replacing some backlights, and it really took absolutely no invention. It was just a question of tying them together, getting them attached, throwing my ladder back on the truck, and heading off to the next job, which was similarly, you know, kind of basic, like a gutter job, but at least it let me get the gutter cam out. Now there was one cool thing about this gutter job. While I was working, and actually I was crawling around the roof, I heard a voice down below, and it was like, "Hey, are you Meta Spencer?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually my name's Spencer, and that's my truck right there." And the gal was like, "Yeah, I need you to do some jobs." So anyway, I crawled down and gave her my card, and because of that, I've got a couple more jobs lined up. I'm home for lunch, and I realized that I've got a couple of lights that some people sent me. You've probably seen this on the internet. Single light bulb, but just cracked out with LEDs. My shop doesn't really need a whole lot more lighting. I'm gonna try this out. It could be a solution in some dark corner of my life. The other light I got, I'm gonna put in the truck. It's gonna be awesome. This is a big shop, you know, this is like a 1,200 square foot shop, and you know, it just lights up a little corner of it with like an LED glow. I'll show you my big lights, my strip lights. I mean, they just kind of blow this thing out, like totally light it up. The deal is that these guys fold up and down, right? So if you're gonna be able to fold them adequately, you need more ceiling space. So, you know, I can't fold them up that far. Just because I hit my ceiling. So you gotta have like a drop receptacle, light receptacle. This is that second light I was talking about. The only thing I don't like about this light is that it comes with like this kind of CNC unit. The light itself is pretty good though. It's like a rubbery LED. All right, so I might have gone a little rudimentary with that setup. I just, you know, tied up the string lights and zip tied them in the corner. The thing with the string light like that is if you get the adhesive ones, I've found the adhesive a lot of times like comes off and doesn't last that long. And then if I were to strap them up on one of my cargo bars up here, it's just kind of gonna get in the way. So that's like totally dim, and then I can brighten them up if I need to. All right, now this job involved 3 parts really. The first is the one you see right here. It's this double X-rated garage door or shed door thing, and some of the wood was just rotted out on the lower section. So I cut it out, replaced it with pressure treated stuff, and really the tricky part here was just figuring out which pieces to keep, which pieces to get rid of, what angles I needed to make those double X-rated doors. And I got it all dialed in eventually, and as you'll see, I got it sealed up with some polyurethane, but I didn't get it painted. The reason I didn't get it painted is that it's just so dang cold and wet out right now that paint just won't stick. Alright, here's your final look at the double X-rated barn door. Obviously it needs some paint, but that's about it. And then this wood was for the next part of the project, more rotten wood in the garage. You can see the sill is just trashed. I replaced pieces of the sill with pressure treated stuff. I ended up pulling some of the tongue groove siding out, replaced that, and even cut out like parts of the door jamb that had been kind of rotten away and replaced that stuff. Again, more polyurethane once it was all replaced. And you know, there are a lot of ways you could do this. You could rip out the whole door jamb, you could pour new concrete sill first, but this seemed to me to work based on what the folks were looking for and you know, the age of the garage and all that. Then here's that garage door kind of bottom area that was all rotten out, and just like the other one, it needs some paint. Alright, now this third part of the project got a little bit funky real quick. The basic job was to tune up these stairs because they had a rotten stair jack in the middle. The culprit, this rotted ass stair jack. Typically, you know, a stair jack is hanging from a ledger, but this one's just kind of like screwed up from the bottom back there. Anyway, it's cracked and needs some help. Now, I definitely had a sort of naive fantasy at first that I was just going to slip that stair jack in place, sister it onto the old one, and be done. But the stairs all needed to be pulled, and I needed to rebrace that center stair jack. And I did that. I put that pressure-treated 2x4 up in the top section and was able to, you know, put that stringer or stair jack, whatever you want to call it, in place, put the stairs back together, and in the end they were pretty solid. Now you probably noticed that I got some new boots. They're a little bit on the bright side, but they are keeping my feet nice and dry. Alright, this next job is actually part of the tale of 2 fireplaces. First fireplace, this one right here, was just requiring a new screen, you know, like that new screen attached to the front. And after getting that done, I moved on to the second fireplace at a totally different house, and it needed a full upgrade. This one was getting an electric insert, so going from being like a fire with fire to a synthesized, you know, electric fireplace kind of deal. And what I really needed to do was add a receptacle in the back of the fireplace, and I ran my wire, you can see it's jacketed wire, up into the ash pit, like at the bottom of the fireplace, you know, there's a big old ash pit, into the ash pit, up through the ash pit door, which I thought was kind of tricky and cool, and then attached a new receptacle to the wall and wired it up. Electricians out there, you might be about to give me a hard time because you don't really need a jacketed wire for this. You're not going to have a fire inside of a masonry wall with your electrical wire, but you know, that wire was going through a lot of different things and a lot of different twists and turns, and I didn't want it to get scraped up. So I got the fireplace installed upstairs, and then down below in the basement, it was just a question of pulling that line and tying in the electrical into a junction box. Now, this fence project, I don't know what you guys are going to think about this. It's really conventional to do it this way, and I think it ended up working pretty well. Now, I'm a guy that likes to build fences, you know, like from the ground up, invent them, design them for the space and all that, but this was not that. This was installing pre-made panels for this fence, and the deal is that the posts were in good shape and the fence was rotten, so the gal who owned the house, you know, she didn't necessarily want to have me build a whole new fence when I could buy these panels for like 35 bucks each and install them in a couple of hours. I think this whole fence, like 50, 60 feet of it, went in an hour and a half. So, you know, you don't always need to be totally creative and inventive to get something done well. In this case, it was a very just add water scenario, like really basic fencing approach that ended up resulting in a pretty good finished product. All right, now this frame project is one that you've seen before, and it is funky. The frame itself was kind of nice. It worked out pretty well. It's made out of mahogany. I built it a few weeks ago. But the frame is huge because this map is like 39 inches by 36 and a half, and I couldn't find any matting board that would fit. So I ended up using ram board to mat this map. I don't know if you really want to do this way. It's a little funky, but I used ram board and I used points, which I typically use for like reglazing windows. You know, it's weird to do it this way. It's not how frames are usually set, but it worked okay. And the map looks pretty good. You know, it's a funky map of a fantasy world from a Terry Pratchett novel or a series of Terry Pratchett novels. And, you know, got the job done. It looks pretty good. Yeah, you see my oil filter? Yeah, I don't either. It's back there. Yeah, that's it right there. Oil filter. Real easy to get to. All right, now, just as a point of contrast, check out this oil filter in the Subaru. Right there. Right freaking there. You just grab it. So great. It takes like 2 minutes to pull that filter. Damn, there isn't a piece of pizza on my battery from the mice or squirrels or whatever. All right, thank you for checking out my Handyman Diaries. It's not exactly how to do it. It's more just like an account of how I did it. All right, hit me with a comment down below if you are so inclined, and I will see you in the next video.